Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Can you hear me? You're welcome today. I think we'll have to start right now. And I don't know if people are already joined. Okay, so can you see my screen? Oh, I can. All right, you're welcome today to this very event that we have a very special one because we have our scholars here joining us who will be taking us through what we have for today. And so we're going to be talking about how to apply for the Marie Curie PhD/doctoral program in Europe. And I'm glad that a lot of people have registered for this event, over 100 people, and I welcome you all. So you can stay tuned and we will take it from there. So we have our speakers here. We have Faith, Ekoja, and Faith is an ecotoxicologist, and her PhD focuses on assessing the impact of microplastics and other environmental stressors on ground water system. Her research explores how microplastic interacts with the smallest form of life that are vital to keeping ecosystem functioning. He has a bachelor's in industrial chemistry from Abubakar Tafawa Balewa University, Bauchi State in Nigeria. He has an MSc in analytical chemistry from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria, and an Erasmus Mundus joint master's degree in environmental contamination and toxicology from the University of Basque country, Spain, University of Porto, Portugal, University of Pau, and Pedolado, France. I hope I got that correctly. Beyond the lab, Faith is passionate about connecting science with daily life, driven by her interest in environmental sustainability. Faith strives to make environmental science more relatable and to inspire action towards a healthier environment. So you have heard about Faith, and you can also connect with Faith on LinkedIn as well. And this is a bit of her research. And you can see she's doing a great job already in her PhD. So the next speaker we have here is Kingsley. Kingsley Ibeabuchi is an industrial PhD fellow under the MSCA Doctoral Network Fellowship of the EpiSeedling project and currently residing in Germany. His research focuses on understanding how seed priming enhances seed vigor under both well-watered and drought-stress conditions. He earned a bachelor's degree in plant biology from University of Ilorin, Nigeria, and obtained double MSc degree in plant breeding and genetics from the Swedish University of Agricultural Science, Sweden, and Ege University. Is it Ege or Ege? Okay, well, we'll check. Turkey, through the EU-sponsored Erasmus Mundus program in plant breeding and plants. So I don't know whether some of you are also aspiring to apply for Erasmus Mundus. You can also see that these scholars are also Erasmus Mundus alumni. So his research interest revolves around uncovering the genetics and molecular mechanism that mediates plant vigor, early seedling establishment, and abiotic stress tolerance in economically important crops. Outside research, Kingsley enjoys reading, working out, traveling, and exploring new culture, among others. So we can see as well that Kingsley and Faith now, they are here with us and they are really focused on their research, and their interesting research is something that when you read, or as you're hearing me read it out, you will know that, yeah, it's nice. This very PhD opportunity is nice because it will expose you to deep research, like very deep research that when you are doing it, you will know that, yeah, this is not just ordinary, okay? And so I would love you to learn a lot from these very speakers. For today, we will have the speakers speak for like 15, each speaker will have 15 to 20 minutes of sharing all the information they have for us. And I know you are joining from YouTube, and I want to welcome you all to this very session. If you have any question at all, please leave it in the comment section. We will be monitoring the YouTube for that. All your comments, all your questions, even giving love to the speakers if you really love what they are sharing, and if you really appreciate what we are doing, you can like the video. As we are listening now, just hit the like button, and also share with your friends who, or anybody on your social media platforms, because this very session is going to be fully packed. And I believe that by the end of it, you would have a lot to go home with, okay? So you will also have 30 minutes questions and answer time. And all the questions you submitted during the registration, we have the list of them. And we will also take your questions from here as this session is ongoing. So please drop any questions you may have, maybe as a result of whatever when the speaker says something that you want to know more about. Okay. So apart from that, one thing I love to see when I'm having live sessions like this is that I love when all the participants are very engaging. It's very beautiful to see that when they are sharing their love, when they are hitting the love button or the like button, when they are liking the video, and even sharing to someone who you know that this may benefit. So if you haven't also subscribed to the channel, please, you can do so right now. If you haven't liked the video, please do so right now, and give us some love right now before we start, before I call on the speakers to come up to speak to us about Marie Curie scholarship, PhD scholarship, okay? All right, so I will now stop sharing and let the speakers go on with their presentation. So I'll stop sharing. Thank you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chinaza, for that wonderful introduction. It's indeed a pleasure to be here today to talk about the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Action Research Fellowship. And I also welcome everyone in attendance. And I hope by the end of this presentation, you take one or two things home. And also want to acknowledge my Faith Ekoja, who is also here with me and we're presenting as well. So the first thing that's very important is to really introduce the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Actions, otherwise known as the MSCA Research Fellowship, how it all came about, how it started. So you can never talk about the MSCA without mentioning Marie Curie, who was indeed a very, very incredible scientist So she was from the Polish origin, but got married to a French scientist and also became a citizen of France. And she was a physicist and also a chemist, a very renowned physicist and chemist. Here is a picture by the right in 1911. She was the first woman and to today the only person to win Nobel Prizes in two fields. First was in physics in 1903, and secondly was in chemistry in 1911 for her work on radioactivity. So she was indeed a very, very good scientist, someone who at that time, during the time of Albert Einstein, Kip Thorne, when it was really difficult for women to come into the research world, she went there and she dominated. So it's indeed very nice to see this. And the third point I want to mention here is also inspiring mobility, a willingness to move. Someone who was born in Poland, she started her research work in Poland, but then she had to emigrate from Poland to France, where she continued her work. And this is also the core of the MSCA fellowship, which embodies the spirit of global research and innovation. So the next part of the introduction would now be, I'll be talking about what the MSCA fellowship on its own entails. So first thing, it's sponsored by the EU, the European Union. So it's actually in a European flagship program, which is funded under the Horizon Europe Action. So this is basically the action that the EU basically is funding for, and it supports both doctoral and postdoctoral research training in different fields, so in multiple fields, ranging from science to arts to business and so on. So actually, and also even fund beyond just postdoctoral research. The second important point is also it allows for cross-sector collaboration. So under the MSCA Research Fellowship Program, there is always a chance of collaboration between the academia and the industry. So this basically enhance research impact, ranging from the fundamental research to the applied research world. So this is actually very, very nice combination for those who are interested in both fundamental and applied research. The third one, which is also a question I get so many times, is who is eligible to apply? From this country, can I apply? And the answer is yes. So it actually has a global eligibility, and it's open to researchers from all over the world, from all nationality. So this answers that important question. And the last one, just like Marie Curie, who also was someone who was willing to be mobile to emigrate, it also encourages research mobility. So under the MSCA fellowship, usually you don't do your research in just one country. It allows you to go to even a different country to learn their culture, to perform research in other countries as well. So geographical terrain. So this support basically international movement across countries, sector, and disciplines to build new skill and expertise. So for those of you who are interested in building skills from different background or building skills in different countries, this is actually a program for you, and I really highly recommend. So now speaking about the Horizon Europe actions, which I mentioned earlier, that the EU is funding this action. There are 5 parts to this. First, we have the doctoral network, which is basically the action that funds doctoral training within and beyond academia. So this is basically for those who are interested in PhD, pursuing a PhD degree. This is the action that you should be looking out for. Second one is the postdoctoral fellowship. So if you already have a PhD and you want to move forward, you want to boost your career, you want to go deeper into research as a postdoc. So also the Horizon Europe covers such support for high achieving postdoctoral researchers. The third one is the co-funding, which is basically the funding between the EU and some other research institution or university, or this case may be. So this also fund doctoral and postdoctoral program. But unlike the doctoral network or postdoctoral fellowship, which are like strictly funded by the EU or solely funded by the EU, this co-funding has both funding between the EU and a research institute. So that's why hence the name co-funding. So here we have staff exchange, where you have staff from different institutions, either from Africa or from Asia or from America, where they kind of exchange, they go to another country to perform their research. So there's also a program to cover such innovative and research personnel. And the last one is the MSc and citizens, which as the name implies, for citizens. And also this basically cover public outreach events and so on and so forth. But today I'll be focusing mainly on the doctoral network, which is for those who are interested in the PhD, to pursue an MSCA PhD. So what then is a doctoral network? So as the name implies, it's a network. So it's a consortium that proposes a coordinated research project. So imagine a group of research institutes or group of researchers from different research institutes coming together to work on one common project. So usually this common project has different, interlinked individual PhD projects. Like for example, in my case, I'm under the EpiSeedLink Doctoral Network, where we have 11 PhD students from different research groups working to understand the epigenetic and genetic mechanism of seed priming. So this is, it's a network where different people come together to form a consortium in order to answer one big question. So this is basically designed to train and support doctoral candidates. So in this case, you see where you have like DC1, one DC doctoral candidate, one position, doctoral candidate, two position under one same research project. So another thing I want to bring to your attention is there are different types of doctoral network. The first one I will be talking about is standard doctoral network or standard DN. So I'm going to use DN from now on for just to. So we have the standard DN where it's basically supports doctoral programs via structured training network of academic and non-academic organization. So in the case of standard DN, you are basically a PhD student in a research institute or in a university. But during your PhD too, you were supposed to go to other research institute or industry to spend a few months there. So this is what we call secondment. So whenever you hear secondment, it's more like the mobility you have in the Erasmus. So you travel to other research institutes for a few months or a few weeks, as the case may be, to also conduct some part of your research where you also get to learn other skills. But your major your major station where you'll be staying basically is going to be in your research institute. Now, the second one is industrial doctorate. So like myself, I spend most time in the industry, in the non-academic sector, but also registered as a PhD student in a university. But then I'm doing mostly like research that is that is very beneficial to the agricultural sector, for example. And this also, while I'm there, you also have like joint supervision from academic sector, because for you to get your PhD, you need to be registered in the university. But the difference between these two is in industrial doctorate, you spend most time in the industry, and the standard doctorate, you spend most time in the research institute or in the university. Now we have the last one, which is like the joint doctorate. So in this case, you're registered in multiple PhD programs. So at the end of the day, you're going to get like multiple PhD degrees. So you have like PhD in one university, another PhD in another university. So this is also a form of the doctoral network, which is also very possible. Now there are links that have been added to this slide. If you need more information about these three types of doctoral network positions. So another important thing to cover here is who is eligible, the eligibility criteria. So I'm going to start first by saying one thing is you should hold a master's degree in a relevant subject. But then I have to also buttress that you don't necessarily have to have a complete transcript, a complete certificate. Even before you apply, you already see that you're going to finish at a particular time. You're allowed to also already start applying if you've seen that you finished before the start of the Marie Curie project, or you're about to defend your thesis or your master thesis, you're already rounding up or something. Yeah, you can already apply, but it should be in a relevant subject. The second point is that candidates should not have been awarded a doctoral degree yet. So if you already have a PhD and you say, oh, I want to get a second PhD, I want to apply for Marie Curie, this is not the right PhD for you. So one of the important criteria is like you must not have been awarded a doctoral degree yet. So that is very, very important. And the third point is that researchers should have not lived or worked in the host country for over 12 months within 3 years before recruitment. So this is very, very important. Like I mentioned earlier, in a doctoral network, you have different countries coming together, different research institutes in different countries coming together to form a consortium. Now, if within the last 3 years, if you have spent more than 12 months in the country you are applying to, then you're no longer eligible. So for example, now I'm living in Germany for more than 12 months now, and I want to apply for Marie Curie. I can no longer apply in Germany because I've been there for more than 12 months. And this is done because they want the MSCA wants you to like already explore other countries. So if you have spent more than 12 months in a country within the last 3 years, you're not really eligible for that for the MSCA or that particular country, host country you're applying to. So what are the benefits of having been an MSCA doctoral fellow or candidate, as the case may be? The first one is you have a job contract. which is on average 3 years research employment, but this may vary, sometimes up to 4 or 5 years. But in most cases, usually 3 years job contract. And here you have very, very juicy salary, so to say. First, it covers your living allowance, so which is approximately 3,400 per month, approximately. Secondly, it also covers your mobility allowance because you have to travel to other countries, to other places. So you also have funding to cover for that. And lastly, if you're married or you have a family, you also have family support. So this you have about roughly 660 per month only for married researchers. So if you're single, you're not eligible to get this support. But this is not really what you will get into your account. Because a lot of people think, oh, this one, no. So this is basically the gross salary. And because it's a job contract, you're basically going to be taxed. But there are three things I want to mention here. One, you have what we call the country correction coefficient, which I'm going to state here. So depending on the country you're applying to within that doctoral network, they usually have correction for basically the cost of living. So some countries are more expensive than the other countries. So if you're living in a country that is way, for example, I highlighted Sweden and Germany, for example. So Sweden has a higher cost of living, and in Sweden you tend to get more salary based compared to those living in Germany because of the cost of living in Sweden is a bit higher, the housing and all of those things. So this is going to be also corrected for from the living allowance. You also have plus your mobility allowance, plus your family support for those who are married, then minus your taxes and insurance. So this is basically a rough estimate. Then you now get a net salary from this whole gross salary. So just have that in mind. A lot of people have come to me and say, oh, Kingsley, my colleague we're not earning the same thing. That's why we are both under MSCA. So this is one thing you have to consider. You're living in different countries, so you don't expect to earn similarly. Also, apart from that, your institution to have their own rules and regulations based on how they disburse this money. So what other benefit do you enjoy from MSCA? One, you have both academic and industrial experiences, like I've mentioned earlier. And this is very beautiful. In many regular PhD, you only get to stay maybe just in the university. Some people finish PhD and they don't have industrial experiences. I can tell you categorically, sometimes when you're in the industry, it's a bit different, the way they see things, the way they're business oriented, it's a bit different from just being academic in the academia. So this is one beautiful part of the MSCA that is really enticing. Second one, you get to conduct international research projects. So you get to work with other PhD students in your consortium. You get to go to their labs and also see what they're doing and also carry out research in their labs. This allows you to learn new skills and so on and so forth. The third one, you tend to travel across Europe. So if you're someone who enjoys traveling, just like me, this is another very good opportunity. You tend to travel. You have like a Schengen visa that allows you to travel to different countries within Europe without the need to apply for visa. So you can just wake up one day and say, okay, I want to go for a vacation in this country, and then boom, you're already there. So this is also a very nice benefit from the MSCA. The fourth one is better career opportunity, which usually improves your portfolio and positions you for a better career opportunity, which is also very nice. And again, network and collaboration for sure. So you get to collaborate with other researchers in the field. You get to collaborate with other PhD students, like alone and stuff like that. So this is really, very, very, very interesting. And the last one, you get like a research employment or work visa. So this is also a very nice thing because some PhD position offer you just studentship. So you're just basically a student. But if I'm an MSCA fellow, you are entitled to a work visa or research employment because you're paying taxes and so on and so forth. So there are what we call research profile descriptors. What describes you when you want to apply? Usually when you go, I will show you in the later part of the slide, when you want to apply, what are you applying as? So when you have the first stage researcher, which is you just only have a master and you want to apply for a PhD, so you're basically considered as a first stage researcher or an R1 researcher. Second one, we have a recognized researcher. So after you have acquired your PhD and now you're looking for postdoctoral opportunities, so you are basically, and then maybe you've already published in some peer-reviewed journal, you're already considered a recognized researcher. So for these R2 researchers are those who are applying for postdoc opportunities. Third one, we have the established researcher. So if you have spent some years as a postdoc, for example, also publish more and more articles, you're already like an established researcher. So we refer to these people as R3 established researcher. Those are those who apply for grants, for example. So R3 established researcher apply for grant. There are also MSCA grants that cover this kind of researchers. And last, we have like the professors. So leading researcher, you're already like a PI, you have your own group, you're already like, employing PhDs and postdoc. So basically you are referred to an R4 or leading researcher. So you can also apply for MSCA grant in this case. So if you want more information, you can go to this link and you get more information about these different researcher profiles. So today I'll be basically focusing on the first stage researcher application for those who are interested for MSCA doctoral fellowship. So the big question I always get most time is, how do I apply? Where do I find this opportunity? So one thing is the EURISES portal, which is basically the EU or MSCA action portal. So you can just type this into Google, EURISES portal, or click on this link that has been provided here. You get this page, basically a page that looks like this. So yeah, you can read about the MSCA, the actions I mentioned earlier, the funding. Now, what you need to click on to find opportunities, these jobs. So when you click on jobs, you scroll down a bit, you get to this page where you have find postdoctoral vacancies, find PhD vacancies. And you click on find PhD vacancies. So when you click on find PhD vacancies, it brings you to this page. So on this page, you can now find different posting, ranging from different field. Co-fund, if you're looking for co-fund, you find them here. You're looking for doctoral network, you find them here. You're looking for postdoctoral. For example, you look at this one. This is one opportunity here, cavity-assisted non-destructive detection. So if you now want to refine your search, because you have a lot of job offer, if you want to refine your search, you can either search for keywords here or subject or the field you're interested in. So you click here and then you search, or you can also filter by either the offer type that you're looking for, the country you're interested in. So if there's a particular country you really want to go to within Europe, you can filter your search here. The research field, so if you're in science, if you're in agriculture, if you're in food science, in environmental sciences, you can put that here. So here, for you applying for PhD, you have to click on first stage researcher or R1 for those who are interested. And here you have sector, position, and so on and so forth. So here, and just to mention, this page is usually always open all year round. So you don't have a specific time when you need to go and search. You just have to keep searching to whatever there's an MSc opportunity, it is posted here. So you have to keep searching regularly to see, is there a new position that is really I'm interested in. So this is actually very, very important to note. And yeah, that brings me to my last part. And having said this, I would like to usher in Faith Ekoja to also continue on the second part of the presentation, which is actually the big question: how do I make my application stand out? And so, Faith, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Kingsley, for that detailed explanation about the MSCA. And you've heard everything you need to know about the MSCA, and the big question, like Kingsley said, is how do I make my application stand out? This is like a very prestigious scholarship body, or I would say network, where a lot of high quality application is being sent for every program that is being advertised. So you need your application to stand out in order to be able to be selected for this program. So these are some of the things you have to do. Next, please. So there are different stages of application. You have the before the application, what to do during the application, and then after, what to do after the application. So for before the application, next please. Before the application, there are certain things you need to put in place. You don't wait until the application season before you begin to go about to source this, because some of these documents could take a while to process. So you need to get them first before the application comes out, or before a particular program you might be interested in comes out. First is the international passport. For some countries, like we know our country, sometimes it takes a while to process this. So you need to have this. It shows how, for me, if you're applying for an international scholarship, your international passport shows me how serious you are. So to begin with, you really need an international passport. Secondly is the academic transcripts, just like the international passport. Your transcript sometimes can take a while to process, and also a while for you to send it to any institution that it needs to go, or even to get the student copy might take a while. So it's really important that you have this before the application begins. Then you have the motivation letter or the statement of purpose, as the case may be. So I would always advise applicants to have like a master motivation letter where you have highlighted all your experiences, whether relevant or not relevant. Just highlight everything, highlight your long-term and short-term plan, so that when a particular position comes out, you could just tailor your you go to the master motivation letter, take the relevant information, and then tailor your application to a particular position or particular position you're applying for. Next is your BSc and your master's certificate. This is, as for most people, as you graduate, you get the certificate, so just try to have it in place. And then the CV. Since this scholarship is specific mainly to Europe, it is really important that you use or you have a special or a standard format for applications in the European countries. Now you can get this Europass CV on the Europass website. Just go there. You could create an account and then use the tools available there to just make a standard CV for yourself. The CV and the motivation letter is just like you're sending a document ahead of yourself. They represent you where you are not even physically available. So whatever you do, your CV and your motivation letter should be of very good standard or of very good quality. And in some cases, there is applicant testing systems put in place. So your CV and motivation letter should capture keywords that are relevant to the application you are submitting, so that they are able to pass these ATS systems. The next is your recommendation letter. It is sometimes we make the mistake of waiting until the application season before we begin to reach out to referees for recommendation letter. You should talk to people, your referees before then. Tell them you are going to be applying for maybe series of scholarships, so that they know that you will be in touch soon. Sometimes they may just write these letters and give it to you for a particular position, but in some cases, the network or the institution might just request for their emails and then contact your referees directly, and then they'll find a way of interacting with each other. Next is the list of publication. This could be in your CV under the publication section, or you could just create a special Google Doc and then add the link to the CV or your motivation letter. This is quite, it's not compulsory to have this. It's not an eligibility criteria, although I would say it improves your chances because it shows that you have a lot of experience with research and publications. Finally is the English proficiency certificate. This is also specific to certain programs or specific to certain universities. For some university, they may require this, but for some, I think if being taught in English is sufficient. Like for me, I didn't need to submit this. Once they asked if I was taught in English, I confirmed that I was taught in English, and I have like an international master's that was also taught in English. That was sufficient. But then I know of other people who had to like submit an English proficiency test, irrespective of having been taught in English or not. So this differs, but it's safer for you to have this certification before your application. Next. Also, the second section of before your application, there are certain things you need to, or certain questions you need to ask yourself and genuinely answer. And you need, as a graduate of masters, you already know your research interests because of your experience with your thesis, your experience with other internship placement. You should know what you're interested in and look out for those kind of positions on the Marie Curie, the URSS website. You should, based on the call for application or advertisement, as the case may be, you should know whether you are eligible or not eligible. And also, Kingsley spoke exhaustively about the eligibility criteria. So from there, you should know if you're eligible or not. And you should know the objectives of the MSCA project you intend to apply from. And you know this from either their website or the URSS website. They list their objectives there. Next is your motivation should be like clear. You should know why you are going for like an MSCA. You should know why you are going for a PhD. Don't just follow the crowd and just do a PhD because everybody is doing. Have a clear reason why you are applying for a PhD, and then you should also have a clear reason why you are going for like a Marie Curie scholarship instead of a conventional PhD. And one of the reasons is because it is highly prestigious and the opportunity it presents to you. Next. So now during the application, by now you would have organized all the documents you need for your application. Like I said previously, you have a master CV or a master motivation letter. Now you have different positions that are being advertised. Sometimes you could even apply for more than one position within the same network. So for each position, you have to like tailor your CV and your motivation to that specific position. So your SOP should clearly outline your motivation for applying. What is motivating you? Why are you interested in this particular program? You should know it. And how one of the reasons or one of the ways you could outline, you would tailor your application is to ensure that you read the project description and the specific doctoral network project thoroughly. This is really important to be able to know how to like tailor your application to that that position you're applying for. Next is that in line with this, the application must align with the project's objective. I cannot say this enough. Don't use a generic CV or a generic SOP for don't use the same document for different positions, please. It has to be tailored to a particular position. As much as a doctoral network may have different positions that are interlinked or related in one way or the other, they are different in their own way. So ensure that each application is tailored to a specific position you're applying for. And then finally, let's have a well-structured CV. There are many resources online. Don't just sit and do it. There are many resources online. The URASES website can help you to structure it. You just come with I would say the content, but the URASES website could give you a very good structure. Please make use of the available material that is available for you online. Next. So the statement of purpose, very important. What it usually contains is first your research interest. Like I said, by now you should know what your research interest is and you should be able to express it in a constructive way. Next is that you should highlight your relevant achievements. That's apart from your degrees or your qualification, highlights your experiences in a very constructive way and align it in such a way that it relates to the responsibilities or the requirements of that particular position you're applying for. Next is that you clearly state your career plans. That's your short-term plan and your long-term plan. The short-term plan is like getting the scholarship position you're applying for and achieving the responsibility or the goals of that particular position, while the long-term plan could include your plans for after the PhD, your PhD study. Next is if you have a research experience, your leadership experience, and volunteering experiences, you should try to highlight it in the statement of purpose. And this could also come in your CV also, because these are good qualities that this selection committee look out for. Finally, what you hope to gain from the program, and also post-study plan. Like I said, your long-term plan, try to capture it in your CV. It makes them know that you have like an organizational skill, like you are organized, you know what you want. So it will give you an edge too. Next. So during your application, I would say nobody is an island. I know some people are really good. Some people can do applications and get it. But as you go higher in life, you realize that a tree cannot make a forest. You need help from mentors, you need help from senior colleagues. So there are sometimes you write things or you do things, no matter how much you proofread it, you would still miss some things. So you need mentors that would put you through, that would look at your documents. And in this case, as much as you could ask anybody for help, anybody with experience for help, I would suggest that you reach out to somebody that already has a Marie Curie scholarship or is a graduate of the MSCA to put you through. This is because they have experience from their own personal application, and they also have experience from interacting with other colleagues from, and even the supervisors. In some cases, some supervisors can even tell you what gave you an edge during the selection process. So this is something that that a Marie Curie scholar or an alumni already knows, so they can help you in proofreading and also giving you advice on your application. The next is to ensure that your application is complete before submission. This is very important. It has to be, sometimes you just, when you rush things, you might just miss some things, you might miss some sentences. Sometimes copy and pasting can even just make you to just lose some information. So try to go through it over and over again. If you have somebody that has the time to help you go through your application, do that before you submit. And finally, submit before the deadline. And we would always advise that maybe at least like 2 days before the deadline, try to submit. And this is very important. Some of us are deadline people. Like, I am also a last minute person, and there are several instances where this has not worked for me. So in this kind of application, something, we are doing things online. Sometimes you face technical issues and then you have problems submitting. If you do it at the deadline or just before the deadline, there is no way you can solve this. You can't contact the selection team or the supervisors or the contact person to ask for information because you waited to the dying minute to submit. So it's very important that you submit before time, submit beforehand, so that if you encounter any issue, you could ask for help or for assistance and even get a response and solve the problem before the deadline is over. Next. So if your application was successful, that's not the end. There are still other things you need to do. You need to face, I would say, a panel or the interview panel. And it's very, I would say it's very daunting. And there are certain things you have to do. First is you should, there are so many materials on YouTube or even on online. Just look for interview questions and responses. What I would do with my friends was, when we were applying for PhDs and we are invited for interview like this, we share the objectives and responsibilities of this particular program with ourselves, and then we form like a panel for each, an interview panel for each other, and listen to the person talk, ask them relevant questions, and then give them constructive feedback. So you don't pet them or just act nicely because they are your friends. You have to be very strict with them. And then your attitude also matters. As much as you may be scared or maybe jittery at, I don't know, for one reason or the other, you have to try to keep a confident or a bold disposition to be able to answer your questions right. Time management is very important too. We don't have, the committee do not have all day to listen to you. Sometimes we get lost in explanation, that you explain and explain so much that the meaning of what you're trying to say is lost inside the explanation. So try to like go straight to the point, explain your points constructively, and move on. Your presentation of your previous work. This is if you can, and if given the opportunity, you don't even wait to be given the opportunity, ask for it. If you can, make a presentation of your experiences, your qualification, your background. Just do a presentation, maybe like 5 minutes or less presentation, so that when they ask you, okay, tell us about yourself, then you just ask, you tell them, I have a presentation, a short presentation, and then if they allow you to give the presentation, you give the presentation. But if they don't, you also practice for, in case they say they don't have the time for presentation, you also practice, so you say it verbally. But in your, like in my own experience, I did this, and they were very impressed actually. And when I finished the presentation, one of my supervisors was like, oh, the questions I have, you've already answered it during your presentation. So we just moved on and discussed about other things. So the presentation will help you to explain your experiences better than an oral or a verbal communication would. Next is, before the interview, have some questions for the panels. And one of the ways you can do that is to read about the supervisor's work, read about their publication, their research, so that you have it might not really be relevant or directly linked to the position you are applying for, but you should know what they are doing and talk to them about it. One of my supervisor's previous students said one of the reasons why he was selected was because he had read the supervisor's work. As much as he's from the Latin American countries, and his English was not very good. So since he already read it, he was able to read the supervisor's work. He was able to like talk about it, and in the end was selected for this position. So as much as we like to be important, they also want to be important, and I want to show that you are serious and you must have done your due diligence. Next. Oh, sorry, one thing I forgot to mention. Some interviews could be, if you are lucky, you have just one interview, but you might even have up to 4 interviews. So for every stage, just try to prepare, and God will help you. Next. So after the application doesn't just end with the interview, even if you were successful. Sometimes we just ignore our emails. You might get an acceptance or offer email, and you may not see it if you're not monitoring your email. Sometimes these can even go to spam, and you will not see it. And in this email, they'll give you a time frame where you're supposed to respond. You need to accept this offer before this specific date. And if you don't see this email before that date, you will lose it, because they would offer it to the next best candidate. They might just assume that you're not interested and offer it to the next best candidate. So please, as you make your application, follow up your emails. Check your spam emails or your spam box as often as you check the main email. Next is your visa application. This is very important. They won't apply for visa for you. They can give you the necessary documents you need for applying for visa, but you need to apply it for yourself. In my case, when I got the offer email, they told me that you have been offered this position. It is subject to your getting a visa. So if I had not gotten the visa, maybe I wouldn't have gotten the position. So it was left to me to apply for the visa myself. But yes, they gave me all the documents I needed. They told me the kind of visa I would apply for. Next is applying for the PhD position. You don't finish, even if you've gotten the offer, you need admission from the university, because the university is not the one that interviewed you or gave you the scholarship position. You need an admission for that university. So you have to, sometimes you may need to write a proposal, motivation letter again, and even submit a CV and other your certificates and so many other documents that you may need to submit for this application, and they have to offer you the admission. At this point is where the test of English proficiency may come in. So you need to have gotten that before you get to this stage, because there is no magic you perform. If the university require an English proficiency certificate, you have to provide it. You cannot go around or go, should I escape this? You have to get it. Next is the health insurance. Depending on the country, I know Germany would want you to have a health insurance even before the visa application, I think. And even for the UK, you pay for the healthcare surcharge to be able to get your visa. So this is very important. So finally, I just want to say that every good opportunity comes with a very good effort. This is a very competitive kind of scholarship. So many people apply, like Kingsley said, it's open to everybody from all over the world. It's a global scholarship. So different people are applying for it. This is not to scare you, but it's just to motivate you that whatever application application you are putting out should be of a very good quality, of a very good standard, so that you stand a high chance of being selected. You can contact either me or Kingsley through our LinkedIn, seen on the link, and feel free to connect to us, and we are wishing you the very best in your applications. Next. Thank you for your attention. We are open for questions.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much for that wonderful presentation. Kingsley, you can leave it at the question and the thanks for your attention questions. You can leave it at that screen. Yes. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for that wonderful presentation. I was really taking notes. I don't know whether the people who joined us today are really taking notes and also taking down some things that will be beneficial to them. For me, when I was in Europe, like I am the two speakers you heard from today. We are all Erasmus Mundus alumni. I remember that Marie Curie was the goal for us. And we were all trying our best to see if there is any research or like opportunity that's linked to our interest. Fortunately for me, I couldn't find something that really related to what I wanted, but I'm still happy where I am right now. Like where I am, I love it. And then for them, I love it too. So this is a very good opportunity for you if you are interested in this very PhD. I learned a lot that I never knew when I was making the application. If I had this kind of information when I was making my application, I would have maybe, like somehow I can't really explain. Anyway, so I'm glad that we have heard that, yes, of course, you can bring your family when you have this Marie Curie, and then you have to prepare your documents ahead of time, like Faith mentioned. Even the background information that Kingsley gave to us was very important, which I never knew about, even when I was really applying for Marie Curie. Thank you for that very, very wonderful presentation. Honestly, it's really packed, well detailed, and I appreciate the effort you put in putting that all together. And also, they mentioned about well-structured CV, statement of purpose that highlights your relevant experiences and that aligns with the expectations and requirements of that very application you're making. I'm just trying to highlight some summary, like summarize some of the things we mentioned before we go to the question and answer, because we have a lot of questions. But I also want to tell our participants that are on YouTube right now, please drop your questions. If you have any questions, please leave it on the comment section. And now we are beginning with the question and answer, because some of you asked questions during the registration, and that's what we are going to be reading out, and the speakers will be answering those questions for us. So please stay tuned. Do not go. Stay here, because we are not done yet. In the next few minutes, we'll be having that session. So about preparing for interview, that's also important. She mentioned something about making your interviewers feel very important. Research properly about their ongoing research and projects so that you come prepared, so that you don't come there, you don't know what they are doing. And also monitoring your email. I want to emphasize this, because even if you're applying for another scholarship or any other scholarship at all, or any opportunity, please always monitor your emails and your spam. I know someone that lost an opportunity, immigration opportunity, because the email sent to him was in the spam. And that's unfortunate. The person is back in their country, and I feel so bad about it when I heard the news. So it's something you should always monitor. After that, I learned my lesson to always monitor my emails, even the spam. Okay, so we have some questions here that our participants asked, and as we are trying to see if there are questions online, we'll be asking the ones that were submitted during the registration. So someone asked something, saying, is there any timeline for this application, just like Erasmus Mundus, that opens period of August and then closes in a certain period? I don't know, any of you can answer that. Maybe Faith, you can answer this for us. Is there any timeline for application, just like Erasmus Mundus that opens in August and ends a particular period?
No, there's no timeline. It's just monitor the website and just be checking. If you can check every day, be refreshing every day and be checking. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. So refresh every day. Thank you very much for the answer. Another person says, is this only for STEM or for social sciences and arts too? We want to know about it. So I think, yeah, maybe this person is asking because there has been a lot of scholarships for STEMs and non-STEM people are really feeling bad about this. And I know I have a lot of them on this very channel who would want to know. So please, is it for just STEM or is it for social science or arts? Kingsley, can
So,
you?
okay, maybe I can you, so the beauty of it is that it also applies to other research, to other field beyond STEM. So the business, the arts, you are also welcome to apply. You just have to go to the Eurasia portal and search, put in the keyword what you're interested in and search if there are any project, because the EU funds research in different field of study. So that's the beauty of the Marie Curie Fellowship as well. So the answer is yes, it goes beyond just STEM.
Perfect. So I'm so happy to hear that. Honestly, it's very consoling because I have some of my friends here who joined this very session who are big on STEM, in management and all that. So, and I really want them to hear this. I hope they hear it. Thank you very much. Okay. And okay, the next question we have here is someone asks concerning the interview phase, were the questions technical questions or they just try to know you? Someone from the YouTube session, like from the chat, this now.
In most cases, they just want to know you and based on you talk about your experiences and they just want to know how relevant your experience is to the position they're advertising. But you could meet somebody that could ask you technical questions. I have had that experience before, unfortunately, and it was a Marie Curie position. The man came like when we were almost rounding up the position, then he just asked me something that destabilized me. It was very technical. I responded, but then I felt somehow. So yeah, you should prepare for just normal personal question about yourself and also technical things about your field.
Oh,
So
wow, that's okay. Yeah, you can
I
go
can
on,
also
Kingsley.
add to what Faith has said. So this is very true. And also, it could also vary from project to project. Like in my own case, we had like 3 interviews. So each of these interviews covered different sessions. The first one was just to know why you're applying for the PhD, general question. Why are you applying for this PhD? Why this position? Why are you interested in the industrial sector and stuff like that? The next one was more of the technical part, just like Faith mentioned, was really to ask those technical parts, like to really know if you know your stuff. And the last one we did was more of group work. So it's like you have a group project and you have to really find a way to work in team. So it's like promotes team work, you know. So actually you expect to see different things from also depending on the super and the interviewers. So yeah, just have to put that out there. Right? Also, like there are different Marie Curie consortium could also structure their interview processes differently. Yeah.
Wow, so thank you very much for that. Thank you guys. So we had a shout out from YouTube, and this from our friend that we all know, the speakers. That's Tommy G said, "Well done, my people. Well done. Thank you very much, Tommy G."
Hey, Tommy
Yeah.
G.
Hi, Tommy.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on with the question. Someone asked, I know you said something about this, but maybe you can just briefly highlight. Do you need to be in a particular part of the world to apply? I know Kingsley mentioned something about you can apply from anywhere you are. So please, Kingsley, is that correct? Maybe you
So
can
the
just
answer is
emphasize.
yes, you can apply from anywhere, but like I mentioned earlier, the only criterion you have to take into account is wherever you are living in, or whichever country you're interested in going to, like where you want your host country to be. you must just ensure that you've not spent 12 months within the last 3 years in that country. So for example, if I'm thinking of applying to, let's say, Germany, or let me say Spain, for example, and within from now to like from 2022 to 2025, I've lived 12 months in Spain. I cannot apply to Spain anymore. So that's just the only thing you have to have in mind. But it doesn't matter where you are, you can apply from anywhere. Just have to mention that you have mobility requirement, like you must not have spent 12 months within the last 3 years in that country you are going to go to.
Okay. Somebody asked, I think somebody wants to have the LinkedIn profile. So you can type the speaker's name on LinkedIn and you will find them. But also I will, when I have time, I can share that very LinkedIn profile as well on the chat. So someone said, I would like to thank you for your wonderful presentation. And could you please provide the presentation slide? Yes, we'll provide you with like a document that has most of the information that was presented here today, okay? So thank you very much for that. And I want to also ask from here, someone asked, can you apply before completing your master's degree?
I think Kingsley talked about that. Yes, you can apply before finishing, but it should be like towards the end of your master's program. Should be doing your thesis or already rounding up your thesis, because you need your transcript for this application or when you get the position. So yes, you don't have to finish first, but you should be concluding it.
All right. Thank you very much. So another question says, about your research publication requirements, is it mandatory to have publications in order to win the scholarship or any scholarship at all? So since you have an experience with other applications, scholarship applications, you did Erasmus, you did this very scholarship, is it mandatory to have a publication before applying this scholarship or any other scholarship? Kingsley.
Okay, so Faith also mentioned this, like having the publication is optional, but the good thing is it might boost your chances of securing that position. But like in my case, for example, I didn't have a publication before I applied, but then it's like the one thing, if you want to check your research abilities, maybe from your master thesis, but it's not really compulsory you have a publication before you apply, although having a publication can boost your chances of securing that, especially if that publication is related to that program you're applying to. So just to answer again, it's not important, it's optional, but this might boost your chances of getting the funding or the fellowship.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone on the chat said, is there opportunity for medical and dental field for Marie Curie PhD research? This person is very specific. We've already mentioned that, yeah, there are different opportunities for people from different fields. Maybe Faith, you can say something again to this person.
This is very specific, like you said. In my search, I didn't come across it, but it's possible that there is. So you just use the filters that Kingsley spoke about. Use the filters on the website and see if there's something. But when you get to the PhD stage, you may not get this like medical specific roles. So you can just get something related to it, but specific to medicine or specific to dentistry, you might not get.
Yeah, I really agree with Faith. So this is very true. Like you might not really get exactly the medical, but for example, there's a lot of funding on cancer research, for example, on some other medical related field, but not exactly. So I think there was a time, I can't remember exactly, there was a time I was just going through and I saw that there was a lot of funding in that area, engineering, chemistry, cancer, I mean, there's not so much, for example, in agriculture, though you still find a few, but yeah, just have to just chip that in.
Okay, thank you very much. Someone asks, is there any age limits to this very scholarship and PhD opportunity?
I never came across that. No.
And my mom apply because
No,
she's
no,
Ye-
your
listening
grandma
right
can
now.
apply.
My mom is listening right now. I want to know whether she can apply.
So just to answer this question, like I also like Fred, I never came across, but thinking that there is family support, so I assume maybe even if I'm just yeah, but I'm not. I've never really come across something about the age requirement or yeah, no,
Okay, there
me
is
either.
something I want. Okay, there is something I want to ask about this family support. This is coming from me. What if you have you you get married during the program and give birth during the program? Will they still sponsor your family or like give the benefits or something like that to your family? Or is it just before you apply? You need to have a family before then. Can I just
Faith
go,
is the right
Marie
person to
Swan?
answer this.
Wait, please go on.
I from what I've seen and heard, they said it has to be before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But I don't know of anybody that got it after they got the Marie Curie. So you need to be married or have the child before, yeah.
So that they can
That's what I know.
consider
I
you
don't know
in
if
that
it's
form.
it might be different for another program, but I've never heard of anybody getting married and getting it later. No. I've never
Okay.
heard, no.
Okay, so just bear that in mind, just in case you are targeting that and then you marry and then
Manifest.
marry first. Okay, so or put to bed first. Anyway, thank you very much for that. Somebody said I don't have transcripts. Can I still? I don't like asking this kind of question. I'm sorry, but someone said I don't have transcripts. Can I still apply?
Kingsley, do you want to respond to that?
So, first things first. Faith already mentioned this now. It's very important to have a transcript
Yep.
because it's one of the major requirements they would ask for. I mean, for any scholarship, I mean, from the last 5, 6 years I've been in the scholarship world, I think transcript is sometimes they don't even ask for certificates. Like when I applied for mine, I didn't submit any certificate, but at least a transcript. So that is very like one of the fundamental requirements. So I think you need, it might not really be the official transcript. Okay. So it might not be the official transcript, but at least have like maybe a student copy or an unofficial transcript. But having a transcript is very, very, very mandatory. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Please keep sending your questions if you have one. If you haven't hit the like button, please do so. If you have, don't hit. Okay, so we keep on with the questions. We have a few more. Someone said, do you write your own research proposal when making the application? Or it's just the statement of statement of purpose?
The I would say the coordinators already came together. The PIs already came together to write a project proposal to be able to get the funding. So the proposal is already there. You just come. You could make some modification, some adjustments to the to what you need to do, but you don't write a fresh proposal.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Someone asked, so I would love to know if it's compulsory to have a master's before applying for this Marie Curie fellowship. I know you mentioned something like that before, but just to reemphasize, please. Like,
So you don't have like you shouldn't like it's not compulsory you finish already before applying. Though it's good that you finished before the PhD position starts. But you should already have like nearly either complete transcript or a transcript that is almost complete. I mean, in my project, for example, they asked for complete transcript. So like
yeah.
it was specified like you should submit only a complete transcript with your master thesis grading. So usually it's
Okay.
also something you have to have at the back of your mind, but perhaps this it might be different for other MSCA projects, but having a certificate during application might not, it's not really mandatory except otherwise requested for. So if you have to check the requirements of this specific MSCA project you're applying to. So if it's if it's required, if you ask for it, like you need to submit a master certificate, then you have to finish before you can apply to such.
Okay, thank you very much. So from the chat, from the live chat, someone asked, does having Erasmus Mundus Masters give you an edge, given that you mentioned that you all are Erasmus Mundus alumni?
There are many people in my network that are not graduates or alumni of the Erasmus program. I think you were just out of 14 students, we're just two that were Erasmus Mundus scholars. So although it can give you an edge, because for me, I think one of the reasons my supervisors were comfortable in selecting me was that I have the experience traveling around, so I'm able to like adjust to different situations, because they usually talk about it, and whenever we meet with other people in the network, they still, I would say, brag about it to them. They are open to excitedly talk about the fact that I was in the Erasmus program. So it's not a requirement, but it might give you an edge.
Okay, so you heard that, right? It might give you an edge, but it's not a requirement because she has colleagues that are not Erasmus Mundus scholars. Okay, just to ask. Kingsley and Faith, do you have colleagues that traveled from their home countries, for example, Pakistan, India, Nigeria, China, to come for this Marie Curie program? Like any country apart from the European countries, please, just give us this honest answer.
Kingsley, do you answer?
Yes, I have.
The two of you
So
will
I
have to
have,
answer because we
yeah,
need your experiences.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So I have a colleague from India who finished
Okay.
got his bachelor and master's degree in India, and then he came
Perfect.
he came all the way from India. I also have those who came, some came from Mexico, for example, though she did her master's in Europe here. But then, just to mention, the fact that you are in Pakistan or Nigeria or Cameroon, that does not hinder you from applying. So you always have a chance to apply. So I encourage you to also apply, even though you're living in those places before application, during your application.
Yes, once you know that you have the research experience, you have developed I would say experience and qualification over the years, I think you stand a chance of being selected. You don't have to have schooled in the EU or in European countries, although most of us that are in the network are people that did masters here, but I don't think that was the criteria. It's just that I guess because we were qualified and applied for it.
Okay, so I'm really glad that you mentioned this because sometimes I used to view Marie Curie. Personally, I view Marie Curie as they look into the country like Europe to know whether they can take from there. But it's very good to know that people from different countries, because this will benefit the number of people. When we have a lot of people registered for this event, and most of them come from the global south, and that's why I also want to make sure that we are having the right information. And yes, guys, you are having the right information because you can stand a chance, a very good chance of applying and getting this opportunity for yourself. Okay, thank you very much for that. So questions from this live session. Someone said, is there a CGPA you must have before applying? For example, say first class or something like that.
There is no, I don't think there is, but you just need to have like a good grade, not third class or something like that. Not trying to
Okay.
demarket it, but you should have an outstanding result, but there is no particular preference for first class.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Because I also know that if you're doing your master's right now, try to not have a low grade. I mean, people have bachelor's, they do bachelor's degree and they have a very low grade and then go for a master's to upgrade or even a diploma to upgrade. So that postgraduate study should be for like an upgrade to stand a chance for something better, okay? I know some of us made mistakes during our bachelor's degree, had some experiences. Sometimes it's not even our fault, but just try as much as you can, okay, to have good grades. It's always good to have good grades. I remember I shared something about how I got a grade from my master's in Nigeria, and somehow I was qualified for a scholarship I didn't even know that I was qualified for. And that's how I am, like, in addition to what I have. So it was very surprising. Oh my God, I had this opportunity. That was because of the grade I had, not even knowing that that would even benefit me for anything. You understand? So please just try to have a very good grade. Okay, the next question says, how much study gap is acceptable? And what do you do if you have 10 years study gap? This one is for the
So
interviewers.
first things was I don't recommend 10 years gap. That is too far.
Okay.
But I mean, usually, again, they usually don't specify which years gap you need, but it's highly recommended that you apply for this PhD within 3 years of finishing your master's, not more. Because I mean, because if you finish your master's, for example, and you spend so long without getting a position, you might already have forgotten what you've learned or something like that. So it's usually really recommended if you finish, try as much as possible. In fact, most of them are really they are happy to employ you or to accept you if you're already like almost finishing your masters and you want to start immediately. So having to spend very long, maybe I can just recommend within 3 to 5 years, but 5 years is already on the very far side. So yeah.
Yeah, just to add to that also, it shouldn't discourage you. It's worth trying. So if you have like a 10 years gap, what have you been doing in that 10 years? The work you're doing might be relevant to the position you're applying for. So instead of just giving up or not even trying at all with the gap, just try and see if you would get it.
Okay, that's good. That's a good response as well. Thank you too for the responses, because sometimes academic gap can also be something that it's worrisome. But then if you can explain what you were doing within that, this is not just for Marie Curie, for any other scholarship. Let's say you just woke up and want to do your master's. What have you been doing? Those things you've been doing will be what you would use as a motivation, even in your statement of purpose or your motivational letter, to explain why you now want, like, why did you wake up today to want a master's degree? You understand? So it's all by explanation. Okay, don't be discouraged at all. You can do this. So, because I think PhD is something you can do later in life. It's not like an immediate thing. Somebody can just say, I want to do PhD after like 20 years, right? And they come back to do it. But if you have the motivation for it, go for it. So the next thing I have here is, somebody asked about the interviews. I think we've already mentioned what the interview takes and what you should. Faith really explained everything about the interview. Please watch the video again to know about this. And somebody here asked, anyway, people are saying excellent presentations. Thank you, Kingsley. Thank you, Faith, for the wonderful presentations. I'm just reading it out for our speakers so that they will know that people are showing them some appreciations from here. Okay, someone asked, I'm currently doing a research master's in France. Is there anything you think I can do now to boost my chance for this Marie Curie PhD program?
If can I talk?
Yes, please.
If you could just look out for I would say internship position. It doesn't have to be like a formal placement. Look for somebody doing an interesting research in your area, in your lab, and then attach yourself to them. And you can even capture that as an experience in your CV. I think for me, that's one thing you can do. And I don't know if this works for PhD applications too, but you could take some mock courses relevant to the field too, on Coursera, LinkedIn also, and Udemy, or some of those platforms.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Somebody asks, what are the financial implications during this program or before applying for this program? Financial implications? Yeah,
So,
Kingsley, you can go on with this.
okay, yeah. I mean, maybe I don't really understand what the person meant by financial
Me
implication.
too.
Yeah, but if I want to answer, if you are applying, for instance, I mean, if you're already in the program, again, I said there are costs that cover your mobility, if you have a family, even like, if, for example, if I want to go for conferences, for example, within my project, I already have costs that cover those things. So when I get a conference, for example, I just have to apply it and I get some budget. There's some costs that cover conference attendance. But before you apply, I don't think, I mean, if you are your visa application, some might cover, some might not. So this I can't really generalize. I'm not sure, so to say. So because yeah, it really, I would say it really depends on the consortium, on the project itself. But when you're already an MSCA fellow, there are other costs that can cover you. There are your secondment, your conference attendance, your housing, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but I hope I answered the question.
Sorry, to also add to that, sometimes you need to, like when you're applying for your visa, like for the UK visa, it costs a lot of money. It's not cheap at all. It costs a lot of money, and you have to pay for the health surcharge for 3 or even more years, depending on how many years visa you're applying for. But the good thing is it will be refunded when you resume. So don't worry if you have somebody to lend the money from. Lend, get it, but then pay back when you get your
Yes,
money.
payback. I support that. Payback. Okay, thank you very much for that. Someone on the in the live session was asking for, said he he has a master's degree in animal science and is looking for a PhD opportunity. If you can send the link. Believe me, I don't know the link you are asking for, but if you watch the video that like this session, if you were here from the beginning of the session, you will hear all that was said about it, and we will send you a document, right? We are doing that, right? We'll send a document to you. Well, if you registered, you will get a document where all the information, most of the information shared here, the links and everything will be in it. Am I even making sense? Yeah, right? Yeah, okay. So
Yes.
we'll send a document that will have all the links that you need for your application regarding the Marie Curie PhD and doctoral program for this one, if you registered. So if you haven't registered, please register so we can have your email before we close the registration this evening. Thank you. So final question. Is it the final? Someone said, how often do you monitor the website?
Regularly.
If you can look at
Regularly.
it every day, just go there every day. When I was applying or looking for, I was just checking. If I can even check, I checked even more than once a day. Whenever your thought goes to it, just go and check. It doesn't take you a lot of time.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So it doesn't take you time. Keep checking and keep checking. Okay, just put it on your notification or something to remind you. So someone just to support some of the things we've said. I think Buhari said, I have a 6 years gap in my studies, but I was recently awarded the Erasmus Mundus scholarship. Wow, that's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah, I think this
So
also addresses the gap question.
exactly. 6 years gap, but recently awarded the Erasmus Mundus scholarship.
Yeah. So,
Congratulations to you.
okay.
And I think that the person who asked the question should have seen that, of course, you can have gap and still get a scholarship. Presley, can you go on with your question, your response?
Yes. So, congratulations first and foremost to Buhari. That's really, really amazing. So another thing you also have to do is sometimes you have to check in the program. There are programs that specify, like before you
Hmm.
apply, the gap. So some of them specify you must not have awarded master for this so long. But in case if it is not specified, go ahead and apply. You know.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
congratulations once again to Buhari. That's quite that's very, very impressive.
Mm.
Okay, someone asked question that I do not understand and know what they're referring to. I noticed that one of the Shield Network projects is based at University College Dublin. Could you please share how the collaboration between the partner institution and Shield is structured and what kind of interaction or mobility opportunities PhD fellows might have across the network? I don't know what the Shield network is. I don't know.
I think the Shield is also like a consortium, just like you have EpiSeedling. So that is very specific. And I think
Yeah,
if
that's
there's
very
a Shield website or whatever, usually this consortium, they have a website, like EpiSeedling, Plastic Underground, they usually have a website. I think you can go there and then search, have an idea. But this is like quite specific in my opinion. I don't know if Faith has anything to add.
Yeah, and sometimes there are contact information there, so you could contact them to ask about these specific questions because we don't know about those programs.
Okay, yeah. So a scholar in a particular program or network may not know what is going on in the other network. So
Definitely.
like Faith doesn't know what's going on in Kingsley's network, and then Kingsley doesn't know what's going on in Faith. It's just like Erasmus. I don't know what's going on in a program, and they don't know what's going on in mine. So you have to search the website and find that information for yourself. I always tell people, if you have any doubts, send an email. There is always a contact information on any website or program that you want to reach out to. Don't be afraid. Send a well-structured email and ask any questions you may have for clarity, and they will respond to you. Okay. So I do not have any other questions here, but I don't have any question here. The next question I have does not have anything to do with what we are doing here. I'm just trying to look to see if we have any question that I haven't addressed. So someone said, my question is that I'm currently on the funding page and there is MSCA DN 2025 till November 25th. My master's research area is horticultural biology. Am I eligible, Mr. Kingsley?
Please repeat the question again.
So the person said, my question, I am currently on the funding page and there is MSCA DN, which I don't know what it is, 2025, open till 25th November. My master's research is horticultural biology. Am I eligible, Mr. Kingsley?
I mean, MSCA DN is broad. It's like the MSCA and doctoral network. So which specific one? And if usually also when you go to Eurasect and then you click that position, so which scroll down a bit, they will you will see like field. So they will specify each of these field that could apply, horticultural science, because it's also interdisciplinary. You know, you can even within one the doctoral network, you can have people from different disciplines, which they will highlight. For example, you can have, people from computer science, statistics, mathematics, engineering under one one doctoral network. So you have to also check on the Eurasect portal if horticultural sciences, which your current studies, you're eligible to apply with such field. So I think DN is a bit broad. I don't know exactly what you mean by MSA DN up until November or December. I'm not so sure.
Yeah, it's okay. I think it was very specific. So the person has to like check eligibility, right? Filter. In fact, go through it because I feel that the person came late in the session. So go through the whole presentation that was done so that you can learn how to filter and find which program you want, whether you are eligible. Sometimes I think Kingsley mentioned that, and Faith did as well. You will not find horticultural, blah, blah, blah in the filter or whatever programs, but you may see things about plants or whatever, or biology related or cell biology related. It depends on what you are looking for. So you have to be very careful with that and also filter properly to know what you are eligible for. And when you read through the eligibility criteria, nobody has to tell you whether you are eligible or not. You have to find out if you're eligible based on the information on the call, right? It's called like the advert. Okay, so I think that is the end. I do not have any other questions here, but Yeah, I do not have any other questions here. Somebody said that they are postdoctoral fellow, and that's great. So thank you very much for joining us. Do you have any final thing to say, Faith and Kingsley? Maybe one of you, one after the other, you can say something to these very people, aspirants, word of encouragement, word of motivation, or the final thing you have to say to them before we go have enjoy the rest of our day.
Maybe I can start then. So,
Yes, please.
first things first, it was indeed a pleasure to be able to share my experiences alongside Faith. And thank you, Chinaza, for hosting us. It's really, and also thank you all for like those who are listening, who have listened to this talk. And I just also want to encourage you, don't be afraid to apply. Don't be afraid to reach out. You can, you just have to try. You never know until you try. A lot of people are very, very afraid, and oh, I don't think I have enough to. I mean, I've had few people who have come to me and say, Kingsley, I'm not sure if I will be accepted. I say, just try.
Yeah.
Sometimes you don't know, and when you apply, you fail. Go back to the drawing board and see what you did wrong or what you could improve on, what other this thing you have to. So keep up, don't relent, don't give up, keep applying. There's a lot of opportunity out there. MSCA is a very wonderful program, and it will really boost your portfolio. So I encourage you to apply and also reach out whenever you want to. Yeah, I wish you all the best.
Yeah. In line with what Kingsley said, the fact that you weren't selected, or you didn't, or you got a rejection it doesn't in any way invalidate your qualification at all. Like we said before, it's a very competitive position. They have what they are looking for, and even if you are not selected, it doesn't mean that you're not qualified to apply for another position. I don't know about the others, but I applied for a couple of Marie Curie positions before I landed this one. This one I have now, I would say at any time it's the best for me. So don't let rejection to discourage you from applying for more positions. And as much as Marie Curie position is a very prestigious one, don't limit your applications to it. I don't know if I should say this, but expand your scope, apply for many positions, and just keep applying until you get what you want, and sky it's your limit. And I just want to leave with this. I always say that when preparation meets opportunity, sometimes people say luck is what you get, but I don't think it is luck, but I would say success is what you get. When you prepare well, you would submit a good application, and you would, by the grace of God, or hopefully be selected. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity. It was a pleasure to be here too.
Thank you very much to Kingsley. Thank you very much to Faith. That word of encouragement is good. The presentations, everything was wonderful. The question and answer you provided, really good answers to our questions. Like, I'm sure that the participants are happy. Please, if you're happy, please can you show us from the comment section so that we can know how happy you are from today's session. So I am really happy. I really appreciate your time and everything you did. Like the past 1 month we've been preparing for this very session, and yes, it was a great one. Thank you very much. And just to add to the word of encouragement that they gave, thank you all for, I want you to make sure that you just continue applying. Do not relent. If you have any dream or anything you want to achieve in life, I think the only best thing you can do for yourself is to keep applying and keep trying, because you never can tell when your success story will come up. Okay, if you're doing your master's right now, it's time for you to start putting documents together. Like they said, make sure you do it ahead of time and prepare for any opportunity, not just Marie Curie, but every other. Because if you get Marie Curie, it's wonderful. But if you don't get it, what will you do? Try others. So rejection is something we all went through. I don't know. Even there are people who may have gotten it once. I think Kingsley just came out. Well, got it. Did you? Okay.
No, no.
Okay.
Of
So,
course,
but
I mean,
then,
rejection is normal.
yeah, rejection is normal, but then you have to like be sure that it shouldn't bring you down. It shouldn't make you not to keep going forward with what you have in mind to achieve. Okay. Take care of yourself. Thank you very much for your time. You can always come back to watch the video, and we'll send you the documents. If you have registered, we'll send you the documents to from with that has all the information that was shared here today. And stay tuned on this channel because we'll have more exclusive sessions like this for you, so that's to prepare you very well for your applications. Okay, my eyes are going this way because I'm trying to monitor to see if people are saying something on YouTube. So that's why my eyes are divergent. Anyway, thank you very much, and that's the end of our session today. Have a lovely day, wonderful day. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to say
Thank you very
anything?
much.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Faith. Thank you, Naza. Thank you. Lovely.
Thank you.
Ciao,
Thank
ciao.
you
Have
very
a
much,
wonderful
Loveline,
weekend.
as well, for
Thank
supporting
you, guys.
and for hosting this for us. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Okay, I have to.